Welcome to another edition of the Daily Night. I am your host, Brian Smith, and today's show is going to be about the offensive production for the Knights against the Florida Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl. We are just 2 days away from kickoff, and the game, I believe, is at 7 o'clock, 7:30, and it should be a really interesting game from several viewpoints, but this episode, again, all about offense. With that, there are 3 points that I want to make to start. Number one, Mikey Keene has to play well. That's just obvious. The offensive line needs to control the line of scrimmage to the point where Florida's talent doesn't just overwhelm it, and Isaiah Bowser has an opportunity to make plays. Number three, they can't be, based on the first two categories, in circumstances that are 3rd and 5 or longer. The one thing that has plagued this team from beginning till end of this season is they stink on 3rd down. There's no way around it. Florida will have an opportunity based on history to put Florida or UCF in some pretty bad situations. That can happen. If UCF is even 50% of the time in 3rd and 5 or longer, it's going to be a trouble point. And with Florida not having Zachary Carter, or turning pro, going to the draft, or their middle linebacker is also not going to play, that's two really good football players. He had 89 tackles, the middle linebacker. There's no reason now, without those two guys, for UCF not to run the ball for 120 to 140 yards. Now, part of that I expect to be Keene, believe it or not, and I'll touch on that just a little. It's just a guess on my part. But let's start off with him in the passing game and making selections. That's going to be the key word with him. Selection as in, I have been given a pass play, but the most important thing for me to do is to make the right play call at the line of scrimmage. When I interviewed Mikey yesterday talking about the opportunity to what did you do this year to get better? What are things you improved upon? And he said it was basically kind of systematic. He was talking about the opportunity to prepare better. He learned how to be more precise, more efficient, etc. Well, with that, he should know going in when he sees certain looks, hey, got to give it to Isaiah, got to run a reverse with Ryan O'Keefe, whatever it may be, that they determine through bowl week. This is what we're going to do. He cannot hesitate. He needs to get to that play as fast as humanly possible. Don't let Florida check. If they do, catch them in between. Miscommunication, that's how you score touchdowns. There's a misnomer that you just beat teams with big plays. Well, you do, but they allow them, meaning there's an error. 9 times out of 10, when there's a 50-plus yard touchdown, there was a major error, whether in technique, position, or both, meaning I was supposed to be in the deep third as a safety. I played the middle. I was too close to the other guy, blah, blah, blah. There's an error. If you catch teams out of rhythm and you go hurry when you're in a situation where you're audibling, that's one way to do it. You need cheap scores against team like a team like against Florida that has a lot of team speed and a lot of length. They're completely a misfit unit based on their skill level, but do not be fooled. That team has dudes. They still, even without Carter, Diabate, they're not going to be just an easy team to beat. I saw a bunch of predictions, like 70, 80% of the people are picking UCF. There's a reason Vegas has Florida 7.5-point favorite, the last I saw. They have more talent. Mikey Keene needs to put him in the right play. One of those, if he can do it quickly enough, could be a free 50-yard touchdown. That's one. The other thing he needs to do is just be accurate. Just be accurate. It never changes with quarterback play. And because of that, here's my number. I'm going to get numbers today just for fun. I think 190 to 200 in passing yards is the minimum. If he has one of those 100 to 140-yard days, the only way UCF wins is if the UCF defense throws an absolutely fantastic game and it holds them to like 14. That's it. I mean, that's possible, but your chances of winning are diminished. 190 to 200 yards for Mikey. Number two is Bowser and the running game. I mentioned like 140 yards, give or take, 120 kind of bottom end. Bowser, I expect them to put 6 in the box with guys coming and going, meaning they're not going to give a clean look. They're not going to give a clean look. Those guys that are, quote unquote, auditioning for the Florida coaching staff, I've heard they've pretty much all been fired, by the way, except for the couple coming in. He's firing all of them. But they're going to do everything they can to get another job, and one way to do it is to have a good bowl performance. Say, hey, here's our recent game. This is what we did. This is why we did. The coaches for Florida are going to be motivated. Not sure about the players, but the coaches are going to be very motivated. Now the question is, how do they do it? They're going to bring safeties up. They're going to move a corner. They're going to bring off the backside corner blitzes to the boundary. You're going to see every look that you can possibly see, especially early in that game, to try to get Mikey Keene to think, in addition to what he's just normally doing as a quarterback, which is hard enough. If they do that, that'll hinder the running game, because if the only thing he has to do is hand it off, well, what's the point? He's still in charge of changing the play, every single play, if it's not the right look. They want to make Mikey Keene think, because then when he does pass, they're hoping for an easy interception, just like I was talking about him catching the Florida defense off guard. So UCF has to make really good adjustments. If they plan a run to the left, they have to be able to audible. Chances are there's going to be a few plays where he can gash them. And obviously, Bowser's an NFL player. He will do that. The other thing with him, he's going to have some 2-yard runs. As much as that is boring as all get out, do it again and again and again and again and again and again. Cannot be in 3rd and 9. Cannot be in 3rd and 9. On first down, if they have to play boring, that's okay. As Nick Saban likes to point out, it's okay if a drive ends in a field goal, an extra point, or a punt. Do not turn it over. 3rd and long, more chances for fumbles. On a quarterback sack, more chances for picks. 3rd and 6 isn't ideal, but it's better than 3rd and 9. Short passes, screens, draws, inside zone. It may not be the easiest thing to watch in some senses, but again, it's still a freshman quarterback, and you're playing a team that has even more raw talent, technically speaking, than what the UCF offense does, if you want to go on rankings from recruiting and all that. My untrained eye will tell me the same thing, but without the two guys, it makes it a lot more even. And then you bring in the level of responsibility for some of those Florida defensive players. I really think there's a chance to hit some big shots, and you're going to see Gus Malzahn, G.J. Kinney, as he walks out the door and takes a job at Incarnate Word, the college in San Antonio. They're going to take a couple of shots, flea flicker, Statue of Liberty, double pass, anything like that. You don't know what it is. Just look it up. You Google it. It'll come up. They're going to do some of that. They need at least one freebie out of those. And it doesn't have to go across the goal line, but it has to set up something short for a 2-yard Bowser TD or something. If they can do that, balance it out. That's how Mikey gets to 190 to 200, etc. And then hopefully you have an opportunity to make some other plays. Here's my one concern, and I'm not going to get an answer on this. When I asked just generically yesterday at the press conference, Gus really only had one moment he was uncomfortable, and it's when I asked him about Jalen playing. He said, we'll wait and see about that. And he was really, really, really uncomfortable. Something's going on there. It's not good. I don't know if Jalen's playing or if he isn't. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know what. I have zero idea what's going on, but it ain't positive. That Gus isn't going to just act like that for nothing. He's a pretty chill guy. So if he does not play at all, that completely changes the football game. He has to play. If he does not, I like Florida. If he does, I like UCF. That's how much it matters. Cannot lose guys that can score from 75 yards. Just can't. That being stated, that is also, again, why you must make the best use of any opportunities on trick plays. So the other wild card is the one player that kind of came on in spurts down the backside of the season. And he's a part of the running game and the passing game, and that's Johnny Richardson. Mark Anthony Richards had some of those moments too, because he's a big, powerful guy that's got some speed. But Johnny's foot speed from step one is very, very good. Elite, if you will. And most importantly, he does it every game. It's not like, well, he just had a good game in game 2 or game 7. When he hits the crease, you're not going to just run him down from behind. He is a rabbit. So they need to find a way to get the ball to him in space, and he can kind of be their complement player to not only Isaiah Bowser, but in case Jalen doesn't play, he can be a guy they get the ball to a little more. Obviously, they'll get it to O'Keefe. That's a very good football player. And then, of course, Johnson, he had 11 touchdowns this year at receiver for the Knights. You got to get him the football too. All of this obviously is predicated on the offensive line. I'm not going to say much about it. They're a good unit. But the reason I'm not going to say much about the offensive line has nothing to do with them. I need to see who's out there for Florida. Carter not playing is huge for them because that's an NFL football player. He is a flat out first guy off the bus. This is what you're facing today kind of guy. Going to get paid to play in the NFL. 285, and he can rush the passer. Those things go together very well for NFL paychecks. He's not playing. That's the good news. Who's replacing him? Who's motivated? And are there any other players that are out there in their quote unquote rotation that are going through the motions because they're, I don't like this staff now. I don't like the new head coach. Florida's in complete disarray, and it's just part of a coaching change. I think Billy Napier is a very good hire in general, but he's not there yet. The staff's not really there yet. I mean, there's just complete and total flux. How do they react? Do they react accordingly? And what I mean by that is, do they just stand up to the challenge? It's an in-state game for a lot of these kids. For about half of Florida's roster from the Sunshine State, probably just about every one of them had an offer from UCF, and they took the Florida offer. Most kids would. Are they motivated to play UCF? Because if they're not, my goal, like 120 to 140 rushing and 190 to 200 passing, go way up. Because it only takes one guy. Everybody can do their job on defense. 10 out of 11. And it's a 1-yard game. Maybe. But you can have that same play the next time, and it's a different guy that makes the mistake. And if it's the guy, if you're running off tackle and somebody doesn't take their responsibility, Bowser will take it 60 yards for a touchdown. I guarantee you Johnny will. Now, again, you're not going to catch the rapid. How motivated will the Gators be, especially in UCF's run scheme? Inside zone, here we come. They'll probably run a few different things that are quote unquote an extension of the running game with the O'Keefe stuff that they do. 4 to 6 yards. They just nag you to death on the perimeter, make you play the entire 53.5 yards across the field. It's part of Gus Malzahn's offense. It's worked forever. I don't know why it wouldn't in this game. Therefore, you're looking for a situation where you can just get that one big one. In my guesstimate of 190 yards passing, a screen they miss a fit on or a run, you can add 50 yards to it in one play. That could be the determining factor. So to kind of summarize here, this is, for lack of a better term, a very difficult game to figure out. I'm getting ready as I finish this up to head it over and check out the situation with the next press conference and see the attitude of the players, everything. I have no idea what it's really going to be like. Everybody's fired up about a bowl game. You can only get so much, but I'm kind of curious just to see. Schneider's going to be one of them. Are you guys really ready to come at him? That'll be important because if Mikey's a pretty good passer when you give him time. If you can get in his 2nd 3, 3rd and 2 and run some play action shots, I think they got a chance to hit some big plays. Again, I've only got them at like 320, 340 yards is a guess at what they're going to get. But if they can just get one more of those, it changes the outcome of the game. It is what it is. Jalen not playing, if that's the case, is a huge problem. There's no nice way to say that. Bowser's going to get his yards. You just have to be patient and feed him. Got to do it. And you got to find a way to get Johnny the ball in space that's a little bit more quote-unquote creative. Maybe he's a part of one of the trick plays. That'd be fine. He runs an over route or something on a halfback option and out of the slot. They put him out to the slot. He runs across the field. They toss sweep to Bowser, and Bowser throws. I don't know. They need a cheap play. Just something they execute well, and Florida just bites on it wholeheartedly, and a guy's wide open down the field. They need a freebie. I would prefer it was Johnny because once he gets it, not many people are going to catch that young man at all. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. But tomorrow, I'm going to have my prediction on Inside the Nights on Fan Nation, on Sports Illustrated. And right now, I'm a little bit up in the air. Until I find out more information about Jalen, I'm not making a prediction. And I will literally make 2 different predictions based on if I don't have any information. If he plays, I'm picking him to win. If he's not playing, I'm picking them to lose. Must have your best player against an SEC team. That's their best receiver. He changes how many guys you put in the box, etc. Got to have him. If he's not playing, I like Florida. So we'll see what happens with that. And we may not find out anything until kickoff because even if he comes out in warm-ups, it doesn't mean anything. UCF practices about everybody in warm-up. So For Brian Smith, everybody have a great day, and I will talk to you on Wednesday.